Most people think all queens are the same, but in reality how queen is produced can completely change her quality, lifespan and performance. So today I'm going to show you all main ways how queens are made. We are going to speak about emergency queens to swarm queens, and of course we are going to speak about grafted queens as well. So by end of this video you will understand which queens are best for you, which are risky and which method makes most sense for you as a beekeeper. So let's start with most common one, emergency queens. Emergency queens are produced when colony loses its queen, the bees panic, they realize that they are queenless and quickly choose the young worker larvae and they are trying to turn them into queens. So biggest problem is timing. Those larvae are not originally meant to become a queen, and for the first part of their life they were fed like normal worker. So because of this, queens are often smaller and usually they don't perform as long or as strong. So just to explain you what I meant when I said that they were fed like normal workers. So when normal egg hatch, bees will feed it with royal jelly for the first 3 days. So first 3 days are the same like queens. And then after third day, larva is not a queen, they will stop feeding it with royal jelly and they will actually start and feed them with worker jelly only. So even though studies showing that first 3 days everyone is fed with royal jelly, a lot of people say that that's not true, and that's why it's recommended that you should take only larvae which are 12 hours old when you are going to graft, but more of that later. What I'm trying to say is that those larvae which are a bit older, that they are not so good quality anymore because feed which are feeding it is not clean royal jelly. So they take small larvae and they decide to produce queens from it, and the issue is that they will pick multiple larvae, and it can happen that they will pick larvae which is older and that she was already fed with normal worker food, and those are bad queens. This way are probably going to be really bad quality because the older larva is probably going to hatch first every single time and she is going to kill rest of the queens which are usually way better than her. So emergency queens can work, but they are very risky, and this method usually happens when beekeeper kill the queen on accident. And if you want to check more of this, I actually made 67 days experiment of checking which queen is better, grafted queen or emergency queen. So next we have swarm queens. When colony is strong, healthy and full of resources, colony prepares to swarm and they can make up to 40 good quality queen cells. And the biggest difference compared to emergency queens is that swarm queens are planned from the beginning. So larvae chosen to become queens are fed quality royal jelly from day one, and that's why swarm queens are usually large, well developed, very productive, and many beekeepers believe swarm queens are one of the best naturally produced queens. So then what is downside? So only downside is compared to grafted queens, because over here you cannot control timing or genetic, and swarming means loss of the bees and honey. So it's not clean and easy work, and if you want to produce 10 or 20 queens from one hive, you will need to cut queen cells, and that is going to be very messy. A lot of people also think that they are going to get bad queens because they will get bad swarm genetics, which means that they will swarm faster than usual, but you are not going to take any queens from any beehive which is going into swarm mode. You are going to select best queen and hive, and you just don't give her more space when it's growing, and you can push any queen to swarm mode, and with that way you are actually going to do the same thing like you grafted your queens. This is also a very good way of producing your own queens if you are a new beekeeper, but you need to understand that it could happen that you actually lose your best queen which you choose to put into swarm mode if, for example, you mistime it, because once swarm happen, all queen is going first with the workers out, and then if you do not catch that same swarm, she is gone forever. So now we are coming to what many beekeepers consider the best queens of all. It's called silent replacement queens. So this usually happens when colony decide that their queen is no longer good, maybe if she is old, damaged, or if she is laying poorly. So colony decides and they raise 1 or 2 cups, and once those queens hatch, they are not going to swarm. So those queens are usually raised under perfect conditions, they are well fed, and they are carefully selected. Those queens often live longer and they perform better than any other raised queens. And downside of this is that this method is very rare, it's very unpredictable and you cannot scale it. Of course, there are some beekeepers which are doing some methods which apparently pushing hives to produce silent queens, but please know that I am not recommending them and I never tried it. But what they do, they usually cut her wing or antenna, or in some cases they even damage her leg. So after that she is not top queen anymore and she is not producing so many pheromones anymore, and bees think that she is not good anymore and they just start and they try to replace her. So very good thing about silent queen is that once she emerge from queen cell, she actually don't just go and kill old queen like it usually happens. Of course, I already say that they are not going to swarm and she's first going to get mated, and after that most of the time they are laying eggs together for some time. Of course, eventually bees will decide to stop feeding the older queen and after some time she's going to die. So this way you get the best queen and apparently brood is never ending. And now we have grafted queens. So in grafting, beekeeper manually transfer very young larvae. They are usually 12 to 24 hours old and those larvae are placed into strong starters which are then going to raise those queens. If it's done correctly, larva is going to be queen fed from almost the start, nutrition is going to be perfect, genetics are controlled, and these methods are allowing beekeepers to select best queens to produce queens in large numbers and to maintain consistent quality. So grafted queens can be excellent, but quality depends heavily on larval age, colony strength, and beekeeper skill. Of course, poorly grafted queen can be very bad, so you really want to do everything perfect, but please know, even if you do all steps perfectly, there is still chance that your perfectly controlled queens mate with bad drones and that they don't become good queens. So this actually goes for all queens, not only for grafted queens. So then we have Nicot systems, and some beekeepers prefer not grafting systems. In those systems, you put your queen and she lays eggs directly into plastic cups. Then beekeeper later moves those cells into starter colony, so this fully avoids handling larvae and it makes job way easier. Quality of those are usually better than emergency queens and it's great method for small scale beekeepers, but with this you are going to produce queens 3 days longer, so that's why most of people are just avoiding this. So then we have instrumentally mated queens. So those are by far the highest level of quality because this actually allows total genetic control, and pretty much, if you remember what I said, that no matter what you do, quality still depends on the drones. And over here you are actually picking the mother and the father, which means you actually have pure genetics which you want. The thing about those are that probably none of you are going to produce those, and those are very expensive. So honestly, I am not sure if they are even worth. So now we are coming to the last question, which queens are the best? So every single one of you will have your own opinion, but if I can choose, for me, swarm queens are the best, but only those which are made in early spring. When some of your top hive go into swarm mode, you open that hive and you find like 5-6 very good queen cells. And then on second place I would probably put grafted queens because they are really easy to handle and you can actually produce like very big amount of those. On third place I actually don't have any other, probably instrumental one, but I will never have those. So for me, only swarm and grafting and nothing else. If you have time, don't forget to comment which one you prefer and don't forget to tell me why. So that's all and see you guys in next one.